What was your point that you were making?
Okay, well, one thing I want to say, because I understand where you're coming from about, like, you know, men struggling to just even have sex. And one thing that not just me, but a lot of girls and a lot of people have talked about nowadays, especially, like, with my generation, is that guys are, like, less likely to ask you out on the date. Like, for me specifically, like, all the dates I've been on, I asked them out, you know? And so I understand your point where men are struggling to get laid, I guess.
Well, okay, that was in rebuttal to you saying that men, you wanted to fact check me, and you said that men are more promiscuous than women.
Well, men are more promiscuous than
They're not,
women.
because they don't have the capability of acting on it.
What do you mean, acting on it?
You need to be capable of... Men have a higher sex drive, yes. However, men are not as capable as women when it comes to actually acting on that promiscuity. It's very easy for a woman to get sex where it's difficult for a man to get sex. Any single girl here at this table, it's fucking 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. Like, you could go download Tinder right now, dude, tonight. Most dudes, like, could not just download Tinder.
Can, though.
No, you cannot just download Tinder and get laid at 11 p.m. as a dude.
But
even really good looking guys
do that.
No, no.
They do.
It's really not that easy.
Here we see on full display in this young woman's mind the apex fallacy which feminists use to justify modern women acting like complete skanks. A lot of guys is really just the top 10%, perhaps not even that. It is an upper echelon of men who actually get to live that lifestyle. Let's look a little bit deeper though.
You think it is because you've had experiences with men who are capable of doing that, who are in the top 5, top 10% of men. But most men don't have like that pull with women. Women swipe no on 90% of men on dating apps.
And that's one thing I'm saying though, is like, I can empathize for these men because, like I was saying, is one thing I noticed, like, when I was single, that these guys that I was talking to, I asked them out on the date, you know. We didn't go to dinner or anything, but we just hung out and talked. And I thought that was just a me thing. Maybe they're scared to ask me first, or, you know, I just don't care. And so then I ended up, like, talking to a couple other girls, and, like, then I saw this video about this, about how guys are, like, maybe shy or scared, or they just don't like the girl, but to ask girls out now. And it's, like, becoming a thing, because I've just noticed this so much, like, this trend.
So you're arguing that men are much shyer and it's harder for them to get laid?
Well, I don't know why they're not going up to a woman. Like, what's holding them back from that?
Because of feminism and Me Too and all that shit? And because women will fucking put men on blast who, like, maybe awkwardly approach them?
Mm-hmm.
So men just,
So if you go up to a girl, his biggest worry is that she's just going to accuse him of a false allegation or something?
No, not necessarily, but like there's an added layer now with social media. A lot of men are like, oh, there's like this, because of we've seen what's happened, that, you know, there could be potentially a false accusation. There could be, or he could just get socially dragged and say, oh, this creepy guy approached me. He didn't do anything wrong, but like, oh, he's kind of creepy or whatever.
Or just publicly humiliated in general, you know, just turned into an object of ridicule for other people, not even necessarily going viral, but an object of ridicule for whatever context they're in socially, whether it's in high school or a college campus or, say, a tech campus or something like that. Just generally a fear of being made fun of by a woman for having approached her, and then she thought it was laughable that you even believed that you had a shot with her. Now, I'm not saying that these fears are necessarily justified or warranted, but this is a sign that people are more poorly socialized than ever in Western countries, especially in America. These social interactions, which were once normal, have broken down and have given way to this oppressive climate of fear.
And what about it?
And also, like, women are pretty rude, like a lot of the times if you approach them in person.
I think sometimes guys.
Not all the time, but women can be pretty rude.
But another thing, like, you know how women can be pretty rude sometimes.
So men can be rude too.
Not even just the rude thing, but guys can come off as creepy
Sure.
sometimes. You know, and I'm not saying, oh, if a guy, I dropped my credit card and he gives it back to me and I'm like, oh, he's such a creep, like he followed me, you know, like something like that. Because I've seen, like, I saw this TikTok of something like that. This girl was like screaming because a guy was trying to give her card back, and I just was like, that's so pathetic.
Oh, well, I mean, there was some video of some woman in a parking lot,
yeah,
in like a
parking lot.
Walmart or something, and she was
she
like,
dropped her
some
card.
guy approached her and she like yelled at him.
Yeah.
And like, that's the kind, and then you see like, you see also those gym TikTok videos where girls like work out in the gym, and then there's like a guy who like glances at them for like 1 second, and they fucking blast them. That's what guys are scared of. And these guys they're not even doing anything wrong. They're just like innocently, sometimes they're not even looking in their direction, but like, so there's like this social component now where like people are terrified to get like fucking exposed on social media. So
Again, more poorly socialized than ever. Older generations never had this problem, and it was considered perfectly fine and normal to just engage in conversation with strangers. People had a sense of community back then. And this fear, this climate of fear that we now experience, is really just the outworking of cancel culture. It's really settling into our collective psyche. These leftists, these atheists, these feminists really think they all have it figured out when their ideology is dominant in an era when people are utterly alienated and do not know how to interact with each other. It's ridiculous.
I mean, there's that. Also, you know, with dating apps, one of the reasons men aren't approaching women in person anymore is they don't really have to, because dating apps exist.
It makes it convenient.
It's more convenient, so you can just like talk to chicks on dating apps. So, yeah.
I mean,
but what? Let's go back to your original point about you were fact checking me, saying that men are more promiscuous than women.
and the study dated till I think 2018. It was 1980 to 2018, and
Who do you think has higher body counts? Like, if you had to take an average, like who's more likely to have a high body count, a man or a woman?
man,
Which,
man.
in average, no, it's actually more women have high body counts
Really?
than do men have high body counts. Yeah. You'll have like a small tier of men who have like insanely high body counts, and then you have a much larger proportion of women who have like mid to high body counts, and then you'll have a ton of guys who like have low, and then like, or just zero. Okay, let me ask you a question. Are you familiar with the term incel?
Yeah.
Involuntarily celibate.
Yeah.
Can a woman be involuntarily celibate?
I saw your video on this. Femcells don't exist, and fuck them. Yeah, I'm on Brian's side.
Okay,
Fuck
but
themselves.
why is there a phenomenon where there are men who are incapable, who are involuntarily celibate, who are incapable of getting laid, but that same phenomenon really does not exist for women? Wouldn't that
I mean-
suggest if men were more promiscuous than women, how can it also be true that there are men who are just incapable of getting laid?
I mean, we can't deny incels majority of the time are creeps.
Now, it is true that there are a group of men out there who are sexual failures that blame women and society for all of their problems. They're lazy people and they don't want to work to improve themselves or their station in life. But instead of society asking the hard questions about how can we help these men, and how did we get to a point that this is the case, that there are just so many men like this in this situation, they're met with condemnation and ridicule. And not all men who have problems with women, who would fall under the label incel, that is, involuntarily celibate, are part of that incel ideology or have that incel mindset. Not all men who can't get laid necessarily blame society for the fact that they can't get laid. Everyone really needs to acknowledge the fact that women, by and large, cannot have sympathy and definitely can't empathize with men who underperform, because sexual failure in men looks different than sexual failure in women.
Awful people.
Not
They either
necessarily.
say that they don't have a nice body or they just don't have a nice personality. That's the only thing I could say to you.
They're on 4chan.
Oh, he's an incel? Guaranteed he goes on 4chan.
Talking
No,
about
okay.
how much,
I
like,
doubt you want to
like-
be scrolling Instagram and see a dad bod as something that you would get arousal to. So as a female with ass and titties, that's the first thing that a guy would see before your personality. And that's what guys don't have. They don't have that ass and titties
Yeah.
to wow a girl to, you know,
Not a bad
to
point.
be like, oh, okay, like I'm trying to impress you. Like, you know how nature gives like people like the peacocks like feathers to show the females to like, for a guy, they don't have that. They have to have a nice body, well, abs, six packs and stuff like that. But most people overlook the fact, and you just need to work on your personality because that's what it is nowadays. Because you're communicating, you're gonna be with this person. If they have a shitty personality, why would you want to be or place yourself in a room with this person? So I mean, you can love them with their dad bod, yes, eventually. But would it be an eye catcher? Wow, no, it's not. So average men who are looking with no money or a below minimum wage type of will be harder to find a female. Yes, I would acknowledge
So,
that.
I mean, to touch on what you said, so you said that there are things that men can do to like level up, like they can become funny or have a good personality or become successful, and maybe they're not the best looking guy, but they can do things through their personality or ambition or success or
Yes.
money or status to become attractive to women. The
Yes.
difference is that women, you can just be 18 and be attractive, or not even be physically attractive and still get like insane amounts of dicks. Like
Exactly, just
we've
like-
had just add one thing. We've had women on the show who are like below average in physical appearance. Who we had one girl say that she had a sex addiction and she was like overweight. No offense to her, but she was. I'm just stating the facts here. Don't shoot the messenger. She happened to be overweight. She wasn't particularly good looking. I'd say she would. I'm not going to rate her.
Was it the blue dress girl?
No, she was wearing a pink thing. In any case, look, overweight, not particularly attractive. She was able to sleep with 6 guys in the night. She slept with 6 dudes in the night. Her body count was 140.
All I gotta say-
Hold on. Her male looks equivalent would be incapable of doing that exact same thing.
If only the left could just admit there are inborn average differences in behavior between men and women. Inborn psychological differences in disposition. But they can't.
But, like, is it women's fault that men are so desperate?
Men are not desperate per se. You know, it is not desperation that a man wants to have sex with a ton of women, has that inborn urge to be promiscuous. Because again, this is true of incel men at the very bottom and apex men at the very top. The only real difference here is whether or not they're actually able to actualize these desires.
Oh,
I feel
word. Okay. Anybody here on this side of the table want to weigh in on the conversation? Any thoughts?
Sure, I'll volunteer.
Volunteers trivia.
Isn't it like what's that saying where a lock that can be opened by any key is like a useless lock, and the key that can...
What
How
did
is
you-
that
The key
stupid?
to lock method about human bodies?
No, it's just females in general because us as females have that opening in who we choose to open our legs for. We have that option. It's a choice that we have. It's not the guys that are trying to force you to have sex with you. It's you choosing to take off your clothes and to have this like moment with this
It's
person.
an analogy to call women when ran through.
Yes,
and
because it's
loose.
your choice to open your legs
Do
for
you
these
know
men.
Female biology?
Again, the whole reason this podcast even blew up in the first place is because there's a plethora of modern women who want to take absolutely no responsibility for their actions. The one aspect of female virtue that was really important to men was just women not being thoughts. The one standard that men had was women not being thoughts, not sleeping with every Tom, Dick, and Harry. But now modern women don't even want to adhere to that because of feminism. Because somehow it's the man's fault, and he's patriarchal, and he's oppressive, and he's too traditional and backwards. if he has any kind of standards whatsoever for her behavior. That is the only reason the manosphere exists. It is a backlash against the sexual mores and standards that exist under liberalism.
What are you talking
Wait, what?
about? How do females have sex?
Do you think you get loose?
You have
when
to
you have
enter the
sex?
key inside the lock hole.
No, it's an analogy. She's using an analogy.
I know, I'm talking about the analogy, and the analogy is to call a woman ran through.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes,
so-
because
and
she
then
chooses to
say-
open her legs. So the fun
It-
part about Disney,
I don't think she got the
um,
analogy.
all the females in Disney are hardworking. They do dedicate themselves to their dream. They don't let the night squad run through them first before they're finding Prince Charming. Just letting you know that. You think a Disney princess lets the whole kingdom access her? No.
Man, that girl in the white shirt is just missing every mark. Totally going over her head. So bad she thinks other people are misunderstanding it. That's a special kind of clueless. But let's really get into this. Why do men dislike women with high partner counts?
And my body count is 10.
Oh, damn. Okay, so here's the real question. Do I lie or do I say the truth?
You could divide by 3.
Nah. Okay, yeah. Mine's, I think it's like 13, I would say. I think. Yeah.
13?
Yeah.
Okay.
Per.
You think? So
Mine is actually 1. Yeah,
just one.
just 1.
And it's your current boyfriend.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh.
well, that's precious.
It's special.
She's telling the truth. So, like, 4.
Multiply it by 3, and that's the real number.
So 12? According
If
to
we're-
Steven Stifler.
Okay,
According
Steven.
to the
Okay,
stiff man.
Steven.
According to the
If we're
Stiffmeister.
talking about
Women almost seem to instinctually know to lie about this. There doesn't need to be any kind of debate over the validity or invalidity of men's preference on this particular aspect of womanhood. It's been constant throughout history. Loose women who do not fall under the authority of a man or who disobey male authority have been loathed since the beginning of time because they cause nothing but trouble in the end. Historically speaking, in the West, women are freer than ever to show off their bodies, to express their sexuality. And what's crazy is that this behavior was unfathomable within living memory. If you went back to 1960 or 1970 and said that everyone would be acting this way, that it would be totally normalized, they would look at you like you're crazy. They wouldn't believe you. That's how rapid the pace of social change has been.
How many of these dudes do you have that are just texting you?
Like, they'll just text me?
Yeah, that are you know are interested in you, but you're not interested in them.
Like, right now, actively, probably, like, between 5 and 10. But, like, they kind of rotate in and out. Like, sometimes people will just text me, like, from a while ago, and they're like, hey, like, I'm blah, blah, blah from Tinder. And they're from, like, 6 months ago. And I'm like, I don't even know who you are. Like, how do you remember who I am? You know?
Are they messaging you on Tinder or texting you or?
Either Tinder or Snapchat, yeah.
Okay. And are they texting you at like midnight or something on a Friday?
No, just, like, throughout the day.
But is it evident to you that these 5 to 10 guys are, like, they're interested in you?
Yeah.
It's not just like some bullshit fucking.
No.
Okay.
People are having these problems because even a woman who is significantly overweight is getting this deluge, this constant bombardment of male attention. Obviously, that inflates the female ego. That is one very important aspect of why men value chastity and loyalty in women, in prospective female partners. Society necessarily treats men and women's sexuality differently, and this is ineradicable. This is a permanent feature of humanity. However, it doesn't just stop there. There are more reasons why men value women's chastity as a virtue.
If a man being ugly isn't enough of a reason for you to not want to date them, let me give you another. My curly hair is from my dad's side, and until my mom became pregnant with me, she had pin straight hair. All of a sudden, it turned really curly. I just found out a man's genes can actually alter yours if you're pregnant with their child. To me, that translates to they can turn you ugly too. That's enough of a reason for me. That's enough.
There is, of course, also the fact that microchimerism in humans may be a thing. Western science hasn't confirmed it definitively. The experts haven't signed off on how it works. And of course, there's such thing as junk DNA, which is DNA that we know exists in humans, but we don't know exactly how it works or what it's for, the mechanics of it. But anecdotally, at least, microchimerism is reported by people who breed animals, and it has been observed to occur definitively in a certain type of fly. So as you'll see the theory promoted in many of these red pill circles, men do not dislike female promiscuity because they want to ensure paternity for evolutionary reasons, but because any child born from their union with a woman who has had partners other than them will carry DNA from men who are not them. And I'll say it again as a disclaimer, Western science hasn't confirmed this definitively, so take it all with a grain of salt. But Western science will affirm that this phenomenon has been witnessed in non-human animals, and if it is true, it really does bring into perspective why some of the Old Testament punishments around women lying about their virginity were so harsh. Anyway, that's it for this video, and Red Channels will catch you in the next one.